Get ready, because today we're going to break down the key mistakes people make when creating monsters. By the way, my name is Brandon McNulty. I'm the author of Bad Parts, and welcome to my writing channel. Everybody loves a good monster, but unfortunately, not all monsters are good. Worse yet, even some of the great ones are written poorly at times. And with that in mind, today I want to look at 5 reasons why they often suck. We'll discuss each reason, analyze it in detail, and finally we'll check out examples of each. Here's your spoiler warning. The ones in red contain the heaviest spoilers. First reason why your monsters suck is that their victims are idiots. There's an old saying that a hero's accomplishments are only as impressive as the villain they oppose. This same basic idea applies to monsters and the people they hunt down. If a monster kills capable, resourceful characters who display common sense, that makes the monster look intimidating. But if the monster kills idiots who are essentially going out of their way to get killed, then the monster becomes less threatening. This mistake is a major problem because it's a sign of contrived storytelling. We can see that the writers are pulling strings to make things happen. It also undermines the stakes and drama, and it can often make the monster and the story seem laughable. For an example, let's look at Halloween Kills. This is the sequel to the 2018 reboot, and it opens with Michael Myers emerging from a burning building. Firefighters arrive on the scene, and once Michael proves hostile, they decide to attack him. The best part is that they fight him one by one, and nobody thinks to gang up on him or distract him. They just get in line to get killed. Now, the firefighters aren't the only idiots in town. Later, there's a mob that forms with the intention of killing Michael, and they actually use their numbers to their advantage and knock him to the ground. That's a good start, but instead of finishing him off, they stab him in the upper back and stand around watching him until he roars back to life. Stupid decisions like these hurt the characters, the monster, and the story, and instead of having compelling fight scenes, we're left with contrived ones that exist to make things easy on Michael. Second reason why your monsters suck is that they're selectively dangerous. If you follow this channel, you know that this is a pet peeve of mine. I've talked about it before. It's when the monster is introduced as this deadly, unstoppable force, then they get hesitant and clumsy around important characters. And there's no logical explanation for this ineffectiveness. It's just a plot armor problem, and it's a sign of lazy writing. This issue pops up everywhere. Most recently, I saw it in Alien Romulus. There's a scene where the xenomorph confronts the protagonist at close range, but instead of attacking her, it waits around for the plot to happen. Another example comes from It Follows. The monster destroys a minor character in the prologue, and it looks like it's going to be this ruthless threat. But when it finally reaches the protagonist, all it does is lift up her hair and give her a chance to escape. Then we have Pennywise the Clown. He's introduced as a menace who bites a little boy's arm off and kills him. Pennywise also loves to slaughter minor characters in the second movie, but whenever he gets an opportunity to kill the major characters, they escape whether they deserve to or not. Now, I'm sure some people will point out that Pennywise is a creature who feeds off people's fear, and I can understand his motivation to scare people rather than outright murder them, but the problem is that when he lets the heroes off the hook again and again and again, it becomes hard to take the events seriously and even harder to share the character's fear. Third reason why your monsters suck is that you're over-explaining them. With monsters, we want to give the audience enough information to engage with the creature, whether that means being curious about it or completely terrified of the thing. What we don't want to do is provide unnecessary explanations for a monster's origins, abilities, or motives. Remember, fear of the unknown is a powerful weapon, but explanations and logic can ruin it. If we over-explain things, we make the monster less mysterious, which can undermine the emotional impact, disrupt the atmosphere, and hurt the story's tension and pacing. For an example, let's look at the 2022 movie Barbarian. This one opens with 2 strangers sharing an Airbnb in Detroit. They have some awkward moments together, and before long they discover a system of tunnels in the house's basement. After investigating, the guy realizes there's someone down there. He tries to alert the protagonist, and that's when he gets killed by this hideous mutant. It's a shocking, dramatic moment, and the protagonist also gets attacked before the scene fades to black. Then we jump to a new plotline that focuses on the house's owner. He's a struggling actor who needs money, and when he discovers the basement tunnels, he begins measuring the area in hopes of selling the place for a higher price. But that's when he falls into a trap set by the mutant. Now, up till this point, the movie has a tense, mysterious atmosphere, and the monster is a horrifying enigma. What is it? How did it get down there? What does it want? Unfortunately, the movie decides to answer all these questions in detail. It unveils a flashback from decades earlier that explains how a man named Frank used to kidnap women, trap them in his basement, and have babies with them. Later, we get more backstory on Franken the monster, and near the end, there's an info dump that explains that the mutant is the result of generations of inbreeding. By the time this one's over, we know exactly what the monster is and how it came to be. There's no mystery, no overwhelming fear of the unknown, nothing. Instead of inviting the audience to imagine the worst, the movie dumps out cold, ugly facts that limit the horror. Fourth reason why your monsters suck: inconsistent damage. This is when the story establishes how much damage a monster can do. Then the damage varies significantly depending on the situation. It's similar to the selectively dangerous monster issue, but the difference here is that inconsistent damage is a world-building mistake. It violates the established rules in order to bail the heroes out of trouble, gives them plot armor. And it can also create some unnecessary distractions for the audience. Some of you may remember that I brought up this exact same complaint in my video on the worst types of action cliches. In that video, I criticized the Alien franchise and its iconic acid blood, which can burn through multiple floors of a spaceship in the original movie. Then in the sequel, it causes varying levels of damage. Sometimes it melts your face, other times it causes minor burns, and then there are times when there are no consequences at all. Now, after I released that video, some of my subscribers suggested that perhaps the blood in the facehugger was more potent than the blood of an adult xenomorph. I actually liked this idea, but unfortunately when I rewatched Aliens, the theory didn't hold up. There's a scene near the end of the movie when Ripley gets attacked by a facehugger and her friends repeatedly shoot the thing. Blood sprays everywhere, but there are no consequences. However, later when the movie decides it wants to kill off Vasquez, the acid blood regains its potency. It sets up for an admittedly awesome sacrifice, but unfortunately the stuff is only dangerous when the writers want it to be. And the final reason why your monsters suck: silly weaknesses. This is when the monster is easily defeated or the method for defeating it is underwhelming. You might also have a situation where the monster refuses to adapt during battle. And this whole thing ends up being a letdown. It hurts the tension and stakes, it cheapens the impact of the hero's victory, and it embarrasses the monster. As far as examples, the movie Signs comes to mind here. We have a family living on the farm, then these deadly aliens invade Earth, and there's plenty of tension until the final confrontation. That's when the heroes learn that the aliens are weak against water, and then all they have to do is use Earth's most abundant natural resource to defeat these creatures. Another example comes from It Chapter 2. Toward the end, the heroes perform a ritual that's supposed to destroy Pennywise, but unfortunately it fails and forces them to engage in a final showdown. Pennywise, who, if you remember, is an ancient shapeshifter that feeds off fear, he uses his shapeshifting abilities to torment the heroes, and he actually kills one of them. But shortly afterward, the heroes respond by taking the upper hand and defeating him. How do they manage this, you ask? By trash-talking him. They tell the cosmic bully that he's not scary, and this causes him to shrink until they rip out his heart and crush it. Now, thematically this works. Using courage to defeat a fear-consuming entity, that makes sense, but the execution here is silly. It's laughably on the nose, and it makes everyone involved look pathetic. If you're going to have heroes use courage to defeat their enemy, that's fine, but express it in a compelling way. Establish a more tangible weakness, then challenge the characters to overcome their fears as they attack that weakness. Let the moment feel earned, let it feel meaningful, and let the monster be monstrous even in defeat. So I hope this helps. Question of the day: what monster mistake do you hate the most? Let us know in the comments section below. Thank you for watching. If you want to support the channel, please pick up a copy of any one of my books and be sure to leave reviews on Amazon. Bad Parts is great if you like small town horror. It's about people trading away their sick and injured body parts in order to get healthy again. And also, if you want to support the channel, like, share, and subscribe. Check out my other videos, tell other people about it. And as always, remember to keep on writing.